Third part of module 4. In this part we will discuss about decision tree analysis that includes the discounted cash flow, that is DCF. In the previous part we discussed the decision tree analysis. How will it help while making a decision under uncertainty condition. Okay, in this part we continue our discussion on decision tree analysis, but we will include one more parameter into that, that is discounted cash flow. How discounted cash flow can be considered while taking a decision using decision tree analysis. Thank to all those who have helped me. I have taken many references from textbooks, videos, PPTs, and this is exclusively used for the purpose of education. First, let us understand what is discounted cash flow. Discounted cash flow is given by a general formula F is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of N, where F is the future sum, P is the present amount or present worth, and I is the rate of interest, and N is the number of years. Suppose if you want a future sum, you have to multiply the present amount by 1 plus I to the power of N. What does that mean? See, let us understand what discounted cash flow is first. Then we will explain this formula. Discounted cash flow is a valuation method used to estimate the value of an investment based on its expected future cash flows. See, can we really predict what would be the purchasing power of a currency after 5 years? Can we really predict it? It's very difficult to predict. It's not that easy. Okay, so discounted cash flow will help me to predict that future cash flow. DCF analysis attempts to figure out the value of an investment today based on projections of how much money it will generate in the future. So if I invest today, how much is going to be there after 10 years? Or if I want so much of money after 10 years, how much must be invested today? So these are the type of the questions that DCF analysis will answer. Any currency's earning power will reduce over time due to many macroeconomic factors like inflation, foreign policies, EXIM policies, that is export-import policies. Many factors will lead to reduction of the or changing of the earning power of any currencies, and that means the worth of 100, whatever the 100 rupees worth today, it is more than what it is going to have the worth tomorrow, and its worth is less when compared to yesterday. To put it in simple words, if the earning power of 100 rupees of present day is if it can purchase say X amount of quantity, yesterday it was purchasing more, tomorrow it will purchase less. That is the meaning of that. So that can be very easily explained with the help of this formula. F is equal to P into 1 plus I to the power of N. So F is the expected future cash flow, and how much it's going to be worth, that will be calculated by multiplying the present worth multiplied by I is the rate of interest, the rate at which the discounting or the enhancement of the or the change of the currency will take place, to the power of number of years. N is the number of years. Okay, so if the rate of interest or the rate of changing, if it is or the discount, that's what that we get is say 10%, then I would be 0.1, then it is 1.1 to the power of N. If it is after 1 year, then it is 1.1 to the power of 1. Like that it will be calculated. If I want to calculate the present worth, then divide the future worth by this factor. That's all. So this is how a discounted cash flow and a future worth of the cash flow or the accumulated amount, that's we term it as the accumulated sum. F is also termed as the accumulated sum. If you want to have the accumulated sum, multiply the present worth by this factor. If you want to have a discounted amount, then divide the F by this factor. So this is how discounted cash flow calculations are done. While taking decisions over a period of time, such factors will have a very great impact on the currency that we are considering. Why? Because whenever we take a strategic decision, the time period will normally be very long. Okay, it's not a short-term decision. They're all very long-term decision. When I take the long-term decision, if I keep the same amount of the rupees or whatever the currency I'm using, does it really make sense? To be frank, to be correct, it doesn't make sense. I have to consider discounted cash flow. In my previous discussion, I had not considered that because a decision tree analysis may take place, or we may take the decision without considering discounted cash flow if the time period is very short. If the time period is very long, then we may consider the decision tree analysis with discounted cash flow. Take one example. The manager must decide whether to lease a warehouse space for the coming 3 years and the quantity to lease. The manager anticipates uncertainty in demand and the spot prices for warehouse space over the coming 3 years. The long-term lease is cheaper. It's obvious, the long-term lease is always cheaper, but the space could go unused if demand is lower than anticipated. You may hire a very large warehouse, and if the demand is not as per your expected level, the warehouse will be unused and it's simply wastage of money. The long-term lease may also end up being more expensive if future spot market prices come down. See, in future the cost of a commodity may come down, and if you have entered a long-term contract at the present day's price and tomorrow if it reduces, then also you are under loss. So under these conditions, uncertainty conditions, he is considering three options. First option is get all warehouse space from the spot market as needed. As and when the need arises at that particular prevailing rate on that particular day, you purchase the warehouse. Second option is sign a 3-year lease for fixed amount of warehouse space and get additional requirements from the spot market. Suppose you are not happy with the first option, go to the second option. What does the second option say? Enter a 3-year lease, okay, and for a fixed amount of warehouse space, and now you say you have fixed a X amount of warehouse space. If the demand increases and if you want more warehouse space, then get that additional requirement of the warehouse at the spot market price or the price prevailing at that point of time. The third option is signs a flexible lease with a minimum charge that allows variable usage of warehouse space up to a limit with additional requirements from the spot market. The third option is what manager may think, say from 0 to 50,000 at one rate, 50,000 to 60,000 another rate, 60,000 to 1 lakh another, like that. He may put that in slab. Okay, that is the third option. A flexible lease with a minimum charge that allows variable usage of the warehouse up to a limit with additional requirements from the spot market. So up to certain limit, it is whatever, because you have already booked, you will get that space at a previous rate. If you want anything additional, you have to pay the spot market price. Let us analyze one by one. See how the market is set up 1000 square feet of warehouse space is required for every 1000 units of demand. That means 1 square foot is required for 1 unit of the product, and the current demand is at 1 lakh units per year, and the manager forecasts that the demand either may go up by 20% with a probability of 50% or go down by 20% with a probability of again 50%. So probability of going up is 50%, probability of going down is 50%, and the probability of change in percentage or the percentage change is 20%, whether it could be high or low. And probabilities of the two outcomes are independent and unchanged from 1 year to the next. So every year that will hold on. The general manager can sign a 3-year lease period at a price of $1 per square foot per year. Warehouse space is currently available on the spot market at 1.2 per square foot. From 1 year to the next, spot prices of the warehouse space may also change. Okay, demand may change by 20% up or 20% down with probabilities of 50% each. Here, the spot prices may also change. Either it may change by 10% more, or it may go down by 10%. That is also 50-50%. The probabilities of the two outcomes are again independent and unchanged from 1 year to the next. That they remain same even after 1 year. After that, after third year, it will remain the same. So now, what is the probability? I have to consider two probabilities. One probability of changing the demand, second probability of changing the price. So 2 by 2, that means there are 4 combinations now. So what is the probability of each combination? Each combination is 0.5%, 0.5 into 0.5, that is 0.25, 50% of 50%. That is 25%. That is nothing but 0.25. That means demand may go up, and to that probability I have to combine it with price reduction and price increase. Okay. Similarly, demand may come down. For that again I have to map with price up and price down. So totally there are 4 combinations now, each having a probability of 50% of 50%, that is 25%, or nothing but 0.25. The general manager believes that the price of the warehouse and the demand for the product fluctuate independently, and the revenue is expected to be $1.22 per unit, and that company Trips Logistics is committed to handling all demand that arises and uses a discount rate of 0.1, that is 10% over 3 years. That means it is a discounted cash flow, right? And the value of the price may change to an extent of 10%. The general manager assumes that all costs are incurred at the beginning of each year and thus constructs a decision tree with t is equal to 2. So 0th year, first year, and the second year, like that. And D is the total demand and P is the price. The probability of each transition is, as I said, 50% of 50%, because there are 4 combinations. 2 combinations with respect to change in demand and 2 combinations with respect to change in prices. So 2 cross 2, totally 4 combinations are possible, each having a probability of 50% of 50%. That is nothing but 0.5 into 0.5, that comes out to be 0.25 or 25%. The decision tree has already been given in this problem. What you need to do, you need to solve it. So this is how the decision tree occurs. See here, we will start with period 0. That is, the demand is current demand. 100 into 1000. For every demand you have to multiply it by 1000. So it is 100,000. And the price is $1.2 per unit. And I have 4 probabilities. See here, 2 probabilities with increase in the price. Can you see that here? 2 probabilities with increase in the price. 10% increase. 10% increase means $1.2 will become $1.32. That is 2 combinations. Or it can be reduction. 10% reduced here. Okay, similarly, the demand may also go up by 20%. 100 will become 120. 120 is two possibilities, and it may come down by 20%. That is, D will remain, or D may become 80. So these are the four possible conditions. D increases, P also increases. D increases, but P decreases. D decreases, P will increase, and finally D decreases and P will also decrease. Four combinations are possible. Now, each of these combinations, again, they will have four probabilities at the time period 2, because it's a there we have just discussed, he has divided that into three periods: period 0, period 1, and period 2. As per problem, we have to divide that into three periods. Okay, what will happen in second period? Again, each of these nodes will have four combinations again. Okay, it's a chance node. It's not decision making. They're all chance nodes. That's why round nodes. In my previous video, I have explained you. Square nodes indicates decision points, and round nodes indicates chance points. They're all chance points because you have a probability over there. Okay. Each of the node has four probabilities again. See here. Again, this D may increase 144, 144, or it may decrease 96, 96. Similarly, D increases, P increases, D increases, P decreases, D decreases, P increases, and finally D decreases, P decreases. These are the four combinations. So each one of them may have that combination, and some of them will overlap. Some of them will overlap, and you can see that these arrow marks will connect to the corresponding nodes which represent those things. Only those four possibilities are possible. It is not 4 into 4 now. Why it is, you may have a doubt why it is not 16. Since it should have been 4 into 4. Why it is not 16? Because see here, let me show you. See, look at this arrow and this arrow. They are from two different nodes. How is it possible? Let us try to understand this. See, 120 D increases from 120 to 144. Here also from 120 to 144 that increases. So 144 is common. Let us come to P. What is the value of P here? 132. And it is D increase, P decrease. From 132, 10% decrease means it comes out to be 1.19. While here this node, it is 1.08. I may have a combination with respect to this node, D increase, P increase. No, when this P increases, that comes out to be 1.19 only. Decrease of this node with respect to P is equal to increase of P with respect to this node. They arrive at the same combination. P remains 1.19. That's why it is not 4 cross 4, 16 combinations. It is since some of them overlap, it comes out to be around it's come to be 9 possible combinations. I hope it's clear to you. You can check it up very clearly. One's increase is equal to another's decrease. In that way, two nodes may have a common output. See here, this node and this node, they have a common output. Similarly, this node and these two have a common output. Here there is only one output. See here, there are four possible outputs, or four possibilities are going to same output. What is that? 120, D decrease, P decrease. That is the first combination with respect to this node. With respect to this node, D decrease and P decrease. With respect to this node, this particular D decrease, P increase with respect to this, and finally this one. See here, what is this saying? D has increased, P has decreased. Okay. That is the fourth. And third one, where is the fourth one? This is the fourth one. See here, D increase, P increase with respect to this line. So this one common output will take the inputs from four different nodes or four different combinations. So that is quite possible. Since the answer is same, it is overlapping. If they were not overlapping, then there would have been 4 into 4, 16 combinations. Now let us calculate the expected value at period 2 or expected profit at period 2. First consider the option 1, get all warehouse space from the spot market as needed. I am not going to do any booking. I am not going to go for lease. As and when the need arises, I am going to purchase it. Okay. How does that happen? Let us take. First, let us start with the calculation for period 2. You have already understood that it is backward interpolation, backward analysis. It's not forward analysis. So I have to start from the period 2 and move towards period 0 or today. Okay, this is how we do the calculation. First, what is the total cost at node 2A? Let me call this first node as 2A, second node as 2B, 2C, 2D, 2E, 2F, 2G, like that. Okay. First one is 2A. What is the total cost at node 2A? What is the demand? 144 into 1000, that is 1,44,000. At what price you are purchasing that? And the condition says you are going to get all the warehouse space at the rate of the spot market. What is the rate of the spot market? $1.45. So what is the total cost? 144,000, that is 1,44,000 into 1.45, that is 2,08,800. That is the total cost at node A, 2A. Now what is the total revenue? So how much do I get per unit? From the problem we have already understood that the per unit price is 1.22. How much you are able to sell? 1,44,000. So what would be the total revenue? 1,75,680. So this is the total cost. This is the total revenue. Now what is the total profit at node 2A? That is the final thing we have to calculate. What is the total profit? Total profit is equal to revenue minus cost. Since in this case revenue is less than the cost, I end up as loss. That's why I have the sign minus here. So I end up as loss. So still we call it as profit minus 33,120, like that. Okay, 33,120 rupees. So this is the net profit at node 2A. This is your first step. Now calculate similarly the profit at each of the node. So for example at 2B, how much it would be? Follow the same steps. 144,000. What is the demand? 1,44,000 multiplied by 1.45. That is the total cost. What is the total revenue? Total revenue, same procedure. 1,44,000 into 1.22. It remains the same. So finally I get the same profit. All these things have to be transferred onto a table format. All the calculations, the procedure followed in my previous slide have been incorporated here, and the entire table is ready. See here all the table whatever you had for the various combinations with D and P that you have written inside the node. Take all those values and calculate the net profit. Net profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Now let us calculate the calculations for period 1. So let us start with node 1A. 1A is the first node in the tree, decision tree, first node. What is the demand at the first node? Demand is 120, and what is the price? That is 1.32. Okay, how to calculate? Let us see that. See, again the procedure remains the same. How do we get the profit? Profit is nothing but revenue minus cost or revenue minus expenses. What is the revenue? It has been very clearly told from for every period the revenue, cost, everything will remain as it is. There won't be any change. Okay, and that's why it is 1.22 into 1,20,000. That is the revenue, and the cost at that is how much you need to spend. The demand is 1,20,000, and what is the spot price at of node 1A? 1.32. It is here. You can see that. See, it is 1.32. It is given. Multiply that, you will get minus 12,000. That is the expected profit at node 1A. But here you have to be a bit careful. In addition to expected profit at node 1A, you should also consider the discounted cash flow from the future. So that means whatever the future possibilities of cash flows are there, they all must be discounted to present day's value. How is it done? Let us see that. Expected profit at node A is equal to 25% of all these 4 nodes. Which are those 4 nodes? See here. This node, this is node 1A. To which are all the nodes it is connected? It is connected to 1, 2, 3, and where is the 4th connection? This is the 4th. Where are these 4 nodes? 144, 1.45. First node. 144, 1.19. Second node. 96 and 1.45. 96 and 1. Where is it? It is here. And then 96 and 1.19. Where is that? 96 and 1.19. These are the 4 nodes. Corresponding values 1, 2, 3 and 4. These 4 values must be considered. Can I consider them as it is? And what is the permutation? What is the probability I mean to say? 0.25, 25%. So summation of these 4 multiplied by 0.25. Since all of them are having same probability, I can take 0.25 as the common factor, or it is nothing but 0.25 into this plus 0.25 into this plus 0.25 into this plus 0.25 into this. Like that I have to do, or else 0.25 is the common factor. Okay, that's what I have put that here. 33, 120. See, whatever, wherever I have put a tick mark, all those values have been taken, and it is minus 12,000 here. Now what is this minus 12,000? It is a future sum, and that has to be discounted to present period. So that is the summation, that is the total sum of period 2. But I am doing the calculation of period 1. So it has to be discounted for the previous period. So what is the discount rate? Discount rate is given in the problem as k is equal to 0.1 or 10%. So that 10% must be considered here. How do I consider the 10%? In my first slide, I explained you, if you want to have a future sum, multiply the present worth. If you want a present worth, divide the future sum by the discount factor. Okay, here what am I calculating? I am calculating the present. So where am I now? I am in period 1 now. Period 1 is my present. Period 2 is my future. So I am getting the money of a future to present. As a result, what I have to do? I have to divide this 12,000 by 10%, since k is equal to 0.1 or 10%. So when I divided it by 1.1, it comes out to be 10,909. I hope it is clear to you. Why I need to divide? I need to divide because I am taking the money backwards. I am not taking it forward. If future money has been brought to present, and that's why P will be equal to F divided by 1.1 plus I to the power of N. Okay, why it's only 1.1? Because it is 1 year. I'm bringing it by 1 period or 1 year, and that's why it is just 1.1, or it is nothing but 1.1 to the power of 1. Both are one and the same. Okay, that is the present value of the future expected. So now finally, what is the actual profit at node 1A? The actual profit at node 1A is the total expected profit plus the expected present value of the expected profit. I hope it's clear. Present expected profit plus present value of the future profit. Both of them must be added. What is this 12,000? This 12,000 is nothing but, from here I have got this. See here, that is the expected profit, that which I obtained by subtracting total expenses from total revenue. That 12,000 plus present value of the expected profit. What are the expected profit from these four nodes or four nodes? Okay, and how much is that? That has been discounted and brought to 10,909 with a negative sign. Add them together and finally we will get as minus 22,909. What does that mean? Again it's a loss at even node 1A. What does that mean? If it is a loss, means this demand and this price, they are not really encouraging. Here I have a profit. This demand and this price is encouraging. Whenever I get loss, that demand and that price is not encouraging. That is the meaning of that. I have to finally, what should I do? I have to select that particular option which gives me the profit. As we move further, you will understand that. How to calculate the remaining nodes possible profits. Those four values have already been calculated here. Finally, expected profit at node 0A. Now we will come to calculation at 0th period or the present period. What is the demand? Demand is 100 and the price is 1.2 at period 0. What is the procedure? Procedure remains the same. 25% of the expected profit. What is the expected profit? These are the four expected profits: 22,999, 909, 32,073, 15,273. You can see that here this has been obtained from this, and this is this value. These are these values. Okay, finally I get plus 3818. You can see that here. See, first node, this node, time period 0's node, it has been linked to all the four nodes. So whatever the value I have with respect to that node must be considered in calculating the expected profit. The present value of the expected profit is thus 3818 divided by 1.1. Okay, it is divided by 1.1. It's a discounted cash flow. Now that I have already explained to you. Total profit at node 0A is that is this combination. Finally 3471, this value. And how did we get this 2000? This 2000 is from this. What is this? Revenue minus cost. Revenue already known, 1 lakh into 1.2. 1 lakh is the total demand, and that is the value here. At 0th node, the demand is 100 and the price is 1.2. So demand into revenue, demand into selling price, 1 lakh into 1.22 minus 1 lakh into 1.2, that is the spot price. And when we do that, we get the total profit at period 0 is 5471. That is the total net present value for not signing the agreement and using the spot market as and when the need arises. I am not going to book anything in advance. Then I end up with a profit of 5471. That is the answer for the first option. Now let us see the option for the second option. What is the second option? Evaluating the fixed lease option, that is lease for 1 lakh square feet of the warehouse space is signed. Okay, if it is signed at the under that condition, how much profit I shall end up with? Let us see. Procedure remains the same. Okay, first we have to calculate the period 2 profits, then period 1 profit, and finally period 0 profit. The evaluation procedure is similar to that of the previous case, but the outcome changes in terms of profit. See, for example, D is equal to 1.144,000 and P is equal to 1.458. That is 2A. That won't change. The manager will require 44,000 square feet of warehouse space from the spot market. See here, what is the condition in option 2? Up to 1 lakh square foot, I will pay at $1 per square feet. $1 per square foot. Okay. Anything extra, if I need, that will be paid at the rate of the spot market or the prevailing rate at that particular point of time. So here up to 1 lakh, it is rupees 1 per square foot, and anything extra, it has to be paid at the rate of 1.45, which is the prevailing rate at that point of time. How the calculation is done? Let us see. So total cost at node 2A, same thing. So total cost is, this is the minimum pay, base pay, plus 44,000 into 1.45 being paid at the prevailing rate of the spot market. So total is 163,800. And what is the total revenue? Same thing, 144,000 into 1.22, that is 175,680. Next, net profit. How much would be the net profit? Net profit would be revenue minus cost. It is 175,680 minus this one, 11,880 is the profit. Similarly, we will calculate the profit for all the other nodes. Okay. So first calculate the revenue minus calculate the cost. Cost incurred, whatever the prevailing price you have and how much extra space you want, based on that you have to calculate. For example, let me take, okay, now let us continue our calculation for period 1A. Expected profit at node 1A is 0.25, or that is 25% of profit of node 1A, 1B, 1D, 1E. What are they? They are the nodes. See here, which are all the node 1 is connected to this, this, this and this. These are the 4 nodes. Okay, this is first, second, third and fourth. There is 1A, 1B, 1D and 1E. I just named it like that. And wherever the arrow mark ends, they are all those things. They are the required nodes for the calculation. So now I have to get the amount of those particular things from the table. See this table, which are all the, this one, 1A, 1B, 1D and 1E. These are the 4 nodes, and substitute those values here. That multiplied by 0.25, that multiplied by 0.25 because probability is 0.25 only. So when you do that, it is 17,360. That is the total expected profit from the future. Okay, and then I will calculate the discounted value. So this is the future, this is from future, this is the possible profit of the future. So what is the present value of that? At a discounted cash flow, that is divided it by 1.1, 10%. So that comes out to be 15,782. Okay, now what is the actual amount that I am paying at during period 1 at node 1A? That is calculated using revenue minus cost. This is the revenue minus this is the cost. What is the total cost? See, revenue is 1,20,000 into 1.22, that will not change, minus this is the total cost. What is the total cost? Up to 1 lakh, it is 1 rupee, plus for remaining 20,000. Why remaining 20,000? Because the total demand at 1A is 120,000 units. So up to 100,000 units, it is 1 rupee per square foot. Remaining 20,000, the prevailing market rate, spot market rate. What is the spot market rate? 1.32. Multiply that. Those values are given within the nodes, that you can see very clearly. and finally we end up it as 20,000. So what is the actual profit at 1A now? You have to add these two, which are these 15,782, this and this. When you add these two, you will get 35,782. Similarly, 35,782 has been obtained here. You can see you can cross verify it. Similarly, all nodes expected profit is calculated. So what you need to understand, you have to be a bit careful here. See now, for example, let us take the third node. What is the revenue? Revenue will remain the same always. 1.22 multiplied by how many units? D, 80,000. See, at first node it was 120,000. That's why it is 120,000 into 1.22. Whereas node C it is 80,000, and hence it is 1.22 into 80,000 minus 1 lakh. What is that 1 lakh? That is the cost I am incurring. Am I paying anything extra? What I did in the first node, I paid extra. How much extra? 20,000 square foot rent extra. What was the prevailing rent at that point of time? 1.32 rupees per square foot. So I had paid 1.32 into 20,000 extra while calculating the expected profit at node 1A. Whereas in 1C, the demand itself is only 80,000 units. And we have seen that I need at least 1 square foot for 1 unit. Okay, in the problem, it has been very clearly told 1 square foot for 1 unit. So if I want to store 80,000 units, I need to have 80,000 square foot area. I have already paid rent for, as under the lease principle, I have already paid the lease for 1 lakh units. So up to 1 lakh units, I need not have to pay anything because I have already paid. How much? At rupees 1 per square foot. That is 1 lakh rupees I have already paid. Now, see, the demand is lesser than 1 lakh units. Do I need any space extra? I do not need. And that's why actually the total profit is revenue minus cost. Cost will remain 1 lakh rupees. Even though the space utilized is 80,000 units or 80,000 square feet, I need to pay 1 lakh rupees. The amount will not get reduced to 80,000 because the condition in option 2 itself is like that. Up to 1 lakh, it is rupees 1 per square foot. Anything extra, you have to pay extra like that. Okay. That is equal to minus 2,400 plus the discounted cash flow. What is the discounted cash flow? Minus 2,400 divided by 1.11. How did I get that discounted cash flow? 25% of 4 nodes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 nodes to which the third node is connected from period 1. Add those values the same way what we did here. Add those values, that comes out to be 2400. Discount it by dividing it by 1.11, and finally add this that you have got from the expected future profit plus the present profit, that is revenue minus expenses, minus 2,400. Add these two and you will get the answer as negative 4582. Okay, so I hope the calculations are clear to you. Let's get the calculation at period 0. Same thing, 25% of 4 nodes to which node 0 is connected to. Add them, multiply it by 25% or 0.25, you will get 18,000 and get the discounted amount because they are the future profit, no expected future profit. You have to get the present amount, divided it by 1.1. 10% is the K value, discount value. You get 16,364. So finally, what is the actual profit? Revenue minus cost plus the expected profit. What is the present profit? Present profit is revenue minus cost. What is the revenue? Revenue is 1 lakh into 1.22 and minus 1 lakh into 1 rupee. That is the total demand at period 0. So you will get 38,364 as the net profit. So if you follow second option, that is leasing option, the total profit that we get is 38,364. So first option it was something around 5,000 plus something. Second is 38,364. Now let us go to the third option. What does the third option say? Evaluating the flexible lease option. Up to some level I will pay this much, after that I will pay extra, like that. Some conditions are there. What are those conditions? For an upfront payment of 10,000, to start with I will pay an advance of 10,000. If I pay an advance of 10,000, what benefits am I going to get? I'm going to get a flexibility of what? Between 60,000 square foot to 1 lakh square foot. That is, the demand is between 60,000 units to 1 lakh units. Then I will get the warehouse space at $1 per square foot. Okay. This company must pay 60,000 per year for the first 60,000 square foot and then can use 40,000 square foot on demand. If it is necessary, then only you pay. If it exceeds 60,000 units, then only you pay the remaining 40,000. If the demand is below 60,000, you need not have to pay 1 lakh. You can just pay 60,000. If the demand increases to 70,000, you pay only 70,000. Don't pay again 1 lakh, what you had paid in the second option. Even though the demand was 80,000, you had paid 1 lakh rent. No, that condition is not there in flexible lease option. If the demand is larger than 1 lakh units and it has to use 1 lakh square feet at $1, and the remaining extra, whatever it needs extra, that will be at the spot price, spot market price. Let us calculate for period 2, that is first one. This is the revenue as usual, and then the expenses. Expenses are 1 lakh, that is the total expense. Why it is 1 lakh plus 44,000 into 1.45? Because what is the total demand? 1 lakh 44,000. Up to 1 lakh square foot, up to 1 lakh units, I need 1 lakh square foot, for which I have already paid 1 lakh rupees. Remaining 44,000 square feet, whatever I need extra, that has to be paid at spot market price. What is the spot market price for node 2A? $1.45. Add that. You will get the total profit as 11,880. For node 2D, same procedure. Revenue is equal to 1.22 multiplied by 96,000 minus 96,000 only here. Why 96,000? Let us see that 1D. See, the demand is 96,000. Should you pay 1 lakh here? What you had paid in the previous option? No. You are not going to pay 1 lakh here. You just pay up to 1 lakh. It is rupees $1 per square foot. See here, up to 1 from 60,000 to 1 lakh square feet, it is rupees 1 per square foot. So it is 96,000 only. So this is the revenue, this is the expenses, and hence the profit is 21,120 rupees. So what is the net profit? Net profit is equal to 21,120. See here, 21,120. It has been indicated here. Similarly, calculate for all the nodes, 9 nodes. Let us continue our calculation at period 1 now. So at node 1A, procedure remains the same. The node's profit plus any expected future profit. These two things you have to add. how to calculate the notes profit, revenue minus cost. That is how we calculate the present notes present profit. What is the revenue? Revenue is 1.22, that is the selling price multiplied by the total demand. What is the demand at node 1A? 120,000 units. That is the revenue minus cost. How much am I incurring? 1 lakh up to 1 lakh square feet plus 20,000 at the prevailing market price. What is the market price at node 1A? 1.32. Put that, and plus 19,360. How did I get that 19,360? I have to consider all those nodes to which node 1A is connected. Node 1A is connected to which four nodes? 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the four nodes. What are the values? See here, 11,880 plus 23,320 plus 21,120 plus 21,120. Okay, and that is what we have to calculate, and then we will get this, right? See here, add these four and without forgetting multiply it by 0.25. I am reiterating this point. This is very, very critical. Many students will commit mistake here. They will not multiply it by 25%. Why we need to multiply it by 25%? Because that is the probability of occurring. Probability of occurring is only 0.25. Then second step is discounted. Don't forget this discount also. Probability value and the discount value. Don't forget these 2 points. Add these four, multiply it by the probability value, divide it by the discount value. You will get, add that with the present notes profit, and this is future expected profit. Add these two, you will get 37,600. So this 19,360 is the expected future profit from period 2. And don't forget to discount it. And don't forget to multiply the expected future profit by the probability value, whatever may be the probability. Next, finally, we will calculate the profit at period 0. Procedure remains the same. What is the present notes actual profit? First, plus the future expected profit. These are the two things. So, again the probability is 25% multiplied by these four values. See, 37,600, it is here, 47,300, 200, 33,600 and this 33,600. Add all these four, multiply it by the probability value, divided it by the discount value, and you will get the expected future profit. Add it to the present worth of the profit. How much? Revenue minus expenses. What is the revenue? Total demand multiplied by the selling price. What is the total demand at 0th node or the first node at period 0? 1 lakh units multiplied by 1.22. You will get it, minus the expenses. What is the expenses? Till 1 lakh units. We have already understood that the rate is 1 per square foot. If it is more than that, then the spot market price. That won't arise here at all. Okay. Now calculate that. 34,545 plus 22,000 and you will get 56,545. Is that 56,545 correct? No, we have to be a bit careful here. We have already made a payment of 10,000. Yes or no? If I make an advance payment of 10,000, then only option 3 is applicable. As a result, what is the actual profit when I am using option 3? The actual profit when I am using option 3 is 46,545. 10,000 less than the calculated value. This is another important step. which we should not forget. Now let us compare all the three options. Which are all the three options? First option 5471, second option 38,364, third option 46,545. So which is selected? The third option is selected as it yields the highest profit for me. Okay, so this is another way of using the decision tree for arriving at a decision when uncertainties occur. And don't forget to compare this, make a comparative statement like this, and finally give your final inference. That will carry 2 marks. Don't forget to do that. And finally, making global supply chain decisions under uncertainty in practice. How do they do that? Managers should consider the following ideas. See, combine strategic planning and financial planning during global network design. What does that mean? Whenever you are considering a strategic option, don't restrict it to only local requirement. You should have a option to build excess capacity, or at least be flexible to build excess capacity, and try to sign long-term contracts, and or go with purchase from the spot market instead of purchasing it from a very long distance, which may delay the consignments. Better to purchase from the local market. So these are all the various options. So what does that mean? You need to have a strategic planning, long-term planning. Along with it, you need to have a short-term financial planning. Use multiple metrics to evaluate global supply chain networks. One metric will prove to be insufficient. It's beneficial to examine network design decisions using multiple metrics, as with profits, firm profits, supply chain profits, customer service levels, response times, customer satisfaction levels. Try to have multiple metrics like this. If any of the any of these metrics are giving you positive results, go ahead. You might have spent extra money. You are not happy with the profit level you are earning. With all these negative things, if the customers are totally satisfied and they are delighted with your product, as a manager, what I suggest, you should go ahead. Why? As the customers are delighted with your product, even though the profits are not as per your expectations, costs are increasing, customers are happy because they are delighted with your product. There are every chance that the demand for our product will increase in future, and hence, as a manager, I will definitely recommend to go ahead, not to stop the project. Okay, so this is what the managers need to think. Use financial analysis as an input to decision making, not as the decision making process. Okay, see, financial analysis should be an input to the decision making. That itself should not become a decision making process. That is a folly, actually. That's a mistake that many managers do. Financial analysis, it's a great tool. Of course, it's a great tool. It will help us to arrive at a better decision. But that itself should not be a decision making process. Okay. So quantitative data will always be very beneficial to arrive at a decision, but quantitative data itself should not be a decision. Use estimates along with sensitivity analysis. Both are very much necessary. Estimates are future possible predictions, and sensitivity analysis, what will be the rate of change under those conditions. That is sensitivity analysis. Okay, both of them must be used hand in hand, so that one of the best ways to speed up the process along and arrive at a very good decision is to use the estimates of inputs. When it appears that finding an accurate input would take inordinate amount of time, unexpected amount of time. So under that condition, estimates are quite good inputs. Thank you. In this part, we discussed elaborately on decision tree analysis, how it takes care of discounted cash flow. Watch this video again and again so that you can understand this concept very clearly. This is a very elaborate, lengthy process, but once you understand, it becomes very easy to solve. Thank you all.